in a tangible way, because we mentioned students on panel for the hearings about sexual assault, but we also need to support them to a place where they can report and go to those hearings. So A, how can we help them, support them, get them through that process, remove roadblocks for them to report? And B, how can we also combat the rape culture on campus? We mentioned bystander intervention, which is really great, but also keeping in mind that there are students that perpetrate sexual violence here. How can we get them to change their mindset? Thanks.
Joyce? Yeah, thanks for raising that issue / asking that question. I think these are the questions you raised are very, very important ones. And they're really tough questions to answer. Like, I wish I could be like, oh, here's the solution. But I think these questions are really complex. And quite frankly, like as a UA, like even myself as an individual, I have some knowledge about this, but I am not a survivor. And I think it's really, really important that we work with the groups who have expertise, along with the offices that have the expertise in this, in order to make sure that these issues can be adequately answered. I think that's very important to the work that we do. I know Jane Meyer, the Social Justice Director, and Travis Shingeldecker have been working on this bystander intervention training, which I think is a really great initiative. And I know that we've been going to other schools who have such trainings. And I know that there is going to be an undergraduate advisory board to continue to work on these issues. But I guess to best answer your question, I know this seems like I can't be like, oh, we should do this, but I guess like the overall thing is to really make sure that students like you who have a clear passion and have clear knowledge of these issues are included in these conversations to make sure what is the best way to address these pressing issues on campus.
Next question.
Hello. Oh God, I'm short. So my question is for SKU again. So I have like a two-part question. So I want to know kind of like SKU's stance. So I know you have these white papers coming up. I wanted to kind of hear about the findings on the cultural diversity requirement. So I know Abrina, our chair, has been working a lot on that over the year, but I wanted to hear more specifically from SKU. Like, do you think it's working, not working, effective? Like, what are the stance or what are the findings on the cultural diversity requirement, or the cultural diversity in the U.S. requirement more specifically? And the second part of my question is about SKU's connection to mental health, just because like with the recent incidents on campus, a lot of conversation is about, oh, like, you know, Penn's culture is too tough, or like the classes, you know, like the structure of the classes is very hard on students and like puts a lot of pressure on students. So what is SKU, or like what research has SKU done to talk about like the connection between like undergraduate education and mental health and how that affects students on campus?
So with your first question, so in the white paper, we are looking at the issue of course requirements in general. With regards to the particular requirement of cultural diversity, we considered early on addressing that specific issue, but throughout some conversations I've had personally with people in the university, this is already an issue that people are very aware about, and that conversations are going on about. The white paper is really intended to bring up a conversation about something new and different, not recommend something that people are already talking about, unless we have a very clear like policy initiative, and we didn't have an answer to it. We knew it was a problem, we knew it was something that was worth looking at, but we didn't have like a fixed proposal. And so we chose not to address that particular issue in the white paper, but I know that in the provost office, particularly people like Rob Nelson and people in like faculty directors like Kath Peterman have been looking at this and talking about that. So it's something that individually members of SKU, particularly myself, can advocate on and continue the conversation with. So if there are issues that you're interested in around the cultural diversity requirement, it's probably easier just to talk to me rather than like put it in the white paper where it's not going to add a whole lot to the conversation. It's already going on. For the second issue regarding stress, mental wellness, and kind of the general student experience, there are a bunch of different areas that the white paper sort of addresses in this realm. Part of it is things like looking at pass-fail grading and how that applies into education. Part of it is stuff like getting a better understanding of what the job opportunities are out in the world and how our education relates to getting careers and grad schools and all of that stuff, and making sure that we have kind of realistic expectations. From research that we looked into, basically what we found is that there isn't research on the issues that we need research on. So for mental wellness, there really hasn't been a lot of study done on like the impact of various educational changes on the student experience. Most of the research that exists in mental wellness is around kind of the psychology, the biology, the neurological challenges that exist. And there's a lot of information about how that's affecting colleges. There are a lot of students, for example, that are at Penn today that wouldn't have been here 20 years ago because of medication that exists, because of support systems that exist today that didn't before, which is changing the conversation. It's an important aspect of this whole figuring out what to do about the stress issue. But in terms of the academic side of it, there really isn't anything yet that would tell us what would work. Like, would a pass-fail freshman semester make people less stressful? There's just no evidence to prove yes or no, so no one really knows. That's kind of where we landed on it, and so we didn't want to make recommendations without the evidence we need for that.
Wait, sorry, I don't need to cut in.
That's Ella, yeah.
Yeah, I'm Vice Chair Stu, and I actually just wrote a lot about some of these issues, so if anybody's curious and wants to talk to me about like in more detail what we did recommend, especially regarding mental health, it did make its way into a lot of the white papers because it's such a prevalent issue. We didn't want to give it a whole section because we didn't think it's an issue where like we can come down and say like, here's what we need to do for mental health at Penn. But what we did, like Lucas said, is really incorporated into a lot of the different areas of the white paper. Trying to think about, even though there's not like concrete data, thinking about like what we know as students and a lot of the conversations we've had and a lot of just like what we've talked about internally and with our friends. So if anybody's interested in that at all, just come find me afterwards.
All right, thank you. Are there any additional questions from the audience? I'm going to go to the submitted questions if there aren't, but we prioritize the people who like made it here. So any other questions from the audience? All right, so we did have a submitted question regarding performing arts groups and their funding for spaces. Renata, maybe could you speak a little bit to that?
Sure. So we are in a partial lift of the moratorium because we are not currently recognizing new performing arts groups. And that has a lot to do with facilities costs. Facilities costs are the most unexpected costs that we face currently on SAC. What we're doing to mitigate that unexpectedness is working with PAC directly to create a funding matrix. So we're looking into, with each different kind of group, what does it look like when they take up a specific type of performing space? So it's very different if an a cappella group is in Iron Gate versus a dance group, right? Those are going to be very different costs. And we want groups to understand what kind of costs they're looking at so they're not surprised if they end up having to cover a lot of those costs at the end of the year. Right now, how it works is that it's almost a guessing game. We don't necessarily know what's going to end up being charged because all of these facilities are really disparate entities from Penn. And so we don't really know how much they're going to charge each and every group, which is a huge problem, and that's really unfair to performing arts groups. Ultimately, the plan is to work hard to make sure that we can fully lift the moratorium and we can recognize new performing arts groups. But currently, PAC is in a moratorium on recognition as well because of facilities limitations. Dunlop, which is where Exolano has their show, it's where Quaker Notes had their show just this past weekend. We had that space is going to be closed in terms of performances from now on, and so PAC is even more limited, which is a huge problem for them. And so that's why we also don't feel comfortable recognizing new student groups if there's no facility space for them to go into.
All right, if there are no other questions from the audience, I think we're going to close the open forum, but I will suggest that you use a dessert reception and then our happy hour afterwards at Tap House as a chance to bring up these discussion points. If you take your programs, actually, you'll get a drink special. We worked it out with them, so please do that. But the most important part of the evening, and which the part that actually means a lot to me, is that this year we really wanted to recognize the fact that, again, like student government, as great as the organizations within it are, we would not be what we are without the faculty and the students. So this year, we instituted 2 awards. One award for a faculty member who we believe has contributed really to undergraduate education by engaging with student government. And then the second award is to a student leader who has worked with student government in a way that has improved all of your lives in a very special way. So I'd like to invite Ariel to kind of briefly introduce our award recipient, and then she'll come up to the stage.
Thank you. I was so excited for this part of the night. Really, I am just beyond honored and so humbled to have this opportunity to introduce and to present tonight's Students Pick Administrator Award to the amazing Elise Betts. Elise, yeah, everyone's giving it for Elise. Most of you have probably already heard about her or know her really well, but I'm going to introduce her and I'm so excited. So Elise is the founder and the executive director of Penn Traditions and the executive director of Alumni Relations. And she was nominated and then elected by Penn students to be the first ever winner of this new award, the Students Pick Administrator Award, which honors an administrator or faculty member who has engaged with student government and its initiatives in such a way that he or she has profoundly impacted the Penn undergraduate experience. So Elise has been working in development and alumni relations at the University of Pennsylvania since 2000, and she started her tenure at the Penn Fund, which is Penn's undergraduate annual fund. While at the Penn Fund, Elise recognized the opportunity to create a student culture of spirit, engagement, and philanthropy to keep students connected to Penn as future alumni. So she founded Penn Traditions, Building Our Community, which is a comprehensive student advancement program. The genesis of this program has drastically changed student culture at Penn. Young alumni engagement and retention are among Elise's specialties. She co-manages Penn Central Alumni Relations departments, and she continues still to direct the Penn Traditions program at the same time. She has been awarded Penn's Model of Excellence Award for her work on Penn Traditions, and she's also presented at advancement conferences all over the country, and she has consulted numerous institutions about how to start student advancement programs. And in 2 weeks, Elise is actually heading to Oxford University to deliver a keynote speech about alumni and student engagement in higher education. Yeah. So when I found out that Elise had been voted and elected for this award, I know like Jesus, Darren, and Vadim, who also have worked pretty closely with Elise, we were so excited that I immediately sent an email to like a bunch of the entire lineage of class boards, okay, going back years and years and years and years, to let them know and to ask them, you know, if they wanted to share a few sentences about their experiences of working with Elise as an undergrad and also as an alumni. And responses immediately came pouring in. And there's no way I could possibly read all of the responses that I've gotten, but I'm going to share a few highlights. So again, I asked for a few sentences. The first response, a few sentences? It's impossible to describe Elise in a few sentences. Whether she's stopping to say hi and just brighten your day on Locust Walk, sneaking you an extra beer at an alumni event, or getting you even more excited than you already were about your zany idea, Elise is someone who constantly radiates love of life to the people around her. She keeps so many people loving and coming back to Penn. She is one of the most youthful, genuine, enthusiastic, kind-hearted, and loving people on our campus, and she is absolutely deserving of all the praise in the world. Put simply, Elise rocks. So that was from the Class Board 2014. Just one more of the many quotes I got that I wanted to share from Class Board 2009. Elise's effect on people is transformative. With every conversation and hug, she is simultaneously a mentor and a friend. And this is from a Class Board 2009 member, I am greatly indebted to her for the formative impact she has had on my life, from the time I had a Penn to now, and I still look at her as a role model today. So now that I've spoken for the Quaker alumni, I know I can speak for all of us current students. that we just couldn't agree more with the sentiment that I just read and that came in from all of the alumni. Elise really has been such a powerful and also such a present role model for us and for me. And she has been such an indispensable part of my college experience. I really cannot imagine Penn without Elise. I can't imagine Penn student government without Elise's constant encouragement and energy and spirit and love and passion. So, with so much gratitude and so much admiration, we are so excited to bring Elise up and to present to her the Students Pick Administrators Award. Give it up, guys, for Elise.
Because I love the work that I do, obviously passionate about this place. And I just wanted to share a little bit of history just to kind of put this into context. First, I want to thank, of course, Ariel, Jesus, Darren, Vadim, Joyce, Lucas, Devin, Jason, Renata, Elizabeth, all members of Penn Student Government. I'm really honored to be here. A little story about how the Penn Traditions program started. So when I started at Penn, I really didn't have any experience in higher ed administration. I did some work with mentally ill homeless women. I worked for YMCA. I played professional football for a couple of years. And I came to Penn and I thought, there's some things we're not doing right. For example, so this thing we used to call the senior gift drive, which is now Seniors for the Penn Fund. So basically what we would do is we would trick you when you were seniors into making a gift to Penn by doing things like taking your housing deposit and including that gift that in most cases your parent or guardian put down on your housing at Penn. We put it into this fund, and then the next year we'd say, thank you for your $250 gift to Penn. Will you give again to the Penn Fund? So of course students were angry, confused, and when they were alumni, they were just pissed off and said, I never made a gift to Penn. So anyway, Dr. Roden, Judy Roden was the president at the time, and for those of you who knew anything about Judy Roden, she was a terrifying lady. She was brilliant, she was smart, the first Ivy League female president. So she's the president, I'm running the senior gift drive. I decide to shake things up a little bit. I recruit some great students and I say, all right, you guys, let's shake this up a little bit. We're not doing a really good job with this. Our percentage at that time was 18% of the class, and most of that was this gimmicky fundraising. So the students say, all right, we have an idea. Can we do whatever we want to do? I'm like, as long as you keep it clean and, doesn't involve anything illegal, yes. So they get a giant piece of wood and they put on this giant piece of wood, they paint the background yellow, they put a crimson H, an orange P, a blue Y, and then the Penn split P, and they fill in the letters to the percentage of participation that this school had in senior gift drive. And of course, like Harvard's like 78%, Princeton's like 99%, even Yale, where Dr. Roden had just been, it's like 72%, and then Penn, we have the 18%, and it's huge. And then it says, don't you want to be on top? So we chain this sign to a post on College Green. So Dr. Roden could literally see it from her office. It's up there outside for about 2 days. And we're starting to get some reaction like, what? We're 18%, why is it? So we're instituting peer-to-peer outreach and things like that. So I'm in my office in the Franklin building at the time, and my boss comes down and says, you gotta come down here, Judy Roden's on the phone. And I'm like, oh no, I'm so fired from this place. So she literally says, is that accurate? She said, I can't believe this. She said, I've been at Yale. She said, I've spent time on Princeton's campus, Harvard's campus, and the students here are really happy. And they are, satisfied and are everything, all the data tells us they're loving this experience here. Why is that happening? I said, because we're not doing anything to educate and engage. We're literally just forgetting about them until, and this is from my office in Developmental and Alumni Relations, we're forgetting about them until they graduate. So she said, well, what are we going to do about this? So I said, well, I'll put together a plan. And she said, okay, and by the way, get that sign off my campus. Penn preview days are this week. We have all these incoming students who are coming to visit campus who also got into it, Harvard, Princeton, get it off the campus. And literally that's how the Penn Traditions program was born. She gave us funding and she said, let's engage the students. Let's engage the student leaders. Let's engage, the students in the college houses, in the student performing arts groups. Let's engage and let's make students happy. Let's have some fun. So we did. So, we designed this to celebrate tradition, old and new, inspire class unity. And I really do have the best job on campus because I work with student leaders, I work with, all students, and I work with alumni. But believe it or not, you guys are going to be alumni someday, and I hope to God that you make it to your 70th, 75th reunion, because we still have people coming back. I know it's hard to believe now, but when you're 96, you might be coming back wearing your red and blue, hanging out with the classmates of yours who are still alive. So just a couple things. I'm going to tell you why I love all of you. I love Penn students because you are resilient and fearless. Nothing kept you from celebrating homecoming, not even the driving cold rain. You're brilliant. SKU's proposals have literally changed the way students are educated. You are relentless. We did serve beer on College Green as a part of Oktoberfest. You're inventive. You bring the hottest music, most of the time I don't know who the artists are, movies and speakers on the planet to campus. You're imaginative and creative, bringing Holy, the Festival of Colors, to Penn, which is now firmly planted as a new Penn tradition. You are kind. You give thousands of hours in service to Philadelphia children and their families. You're innovative. It's not folklore, but a fact that John Ushai and Gibran Khan brought hot air balloons to Skimmerfest a few years ago. So don't rule that out in the future. You're problem solvers. You imagined and created Final Toast that literally saved Heyday. I'll tell you that story a little bit later if you're interested, but Heyday was going to be canceled by the university. We saved it. You sing, you dance, you rap, play chess, rock the vote, kick field goals, and debate, and you're generous. Last year, over 1,780 seniors made it to seniors for the Penn Fine, and I'm sure the class of 2015 is going to shatter that record. So this is just a small sampling of the things that you do every day, and I can't wait to see what the future brings. And it gives me a sense of calmness and peace that you guys are in the world, because you are going to make it a better world for us. I want to thank my friends and give a call out to Nicole, Lizbeth, Carol, Joey back there, and that sitting there in black and white, she's my partner, that's Julie. She's a proud Penn alum. She got her PhD from Penn a few years ago. And I want to thank you. This means more to me than I can imagine. This means more than any award I've ever received because it's coming from students. So thank you.
And so for our final award of the night, this is for our PSG Steering Leadership Award. It's given to a student who we believe whose leadership and engagement with student government has really improved the lives of each of you. And so our award winner this year is Denzel Cummings, and I want Joyce to give you a little brief introduction on him and kind of how his engagement has really impacted them.
Okay, so I initially wrote something out, but I'm not gonna read what I wrote out. So I'm really excited to give this award to you, or present this award to you. And thanks to everyone here for also helping and for awarding this award to you. But I think, Denzel, that you're very rare here at Penn. I think you're very rare because first of all, you're very humble, which I think is a very rare quality amongst students just in general. But I think something else that's so special about you is that you care so much about the issues that you work for. And you care to the point where it doesn't even matter whether you get recognized. To me, the fact that you're at university council meetings when you're not even the UC representative, I think speaks so much to your commitment to this university. Just working with you on the affirmative reaction panel, which we had such a great turnout for an issue that's so important on this campus. Having you coordinate, having you always offer, oh, how can I help, seeing you going above and beyond on so many different initiatives that I think are so important on this campus, I think is so special, especially given that you have classes, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do next year, you have the same stresses that so many of us face here. So the fact that you're willing to work so hard to represent people whose voices are not always heard is so, so important. And I think something else that's really special is that Katie earlier talked about engagement. She talked about how so many students step on this campus feeling, oh, like I want to leave a legacy. But you don't think of that. You're like, wow, I just want to focus on these issues. But in doing so, you really have created a legacy. Like I see so much advocacy coming out of Emoja. Ferguson Fridays is incredible. And I think you have been, so students like you and you have been so formative in creating this culture here at Penn. So I'm so proud and honored to call you my friend and also to present the inaugural Penn PSG Steering Student Award to you.
So I didn't have a host or anything. That's why I was asking if I'm supposed to say something. But I would say thank you to everybody involved. And I guess what I would say in regards to this is that coming from the high school I came from when I was in North Carolina, I didn't expect that coming to Penn I would be able to do any of the things I did or meet any of the people I was able to meet when I was here. And I think the experiences when I stepped on the campus in Pinnacle, and there's so many amazing people who are part of that throughout all the class years here from now has really taught me so much that I didn't expect, not only within the classroom, but outside of it. And I would like to just thank everybody because from all the people I've interacted and worked with, I've learned so many special lessons I'll take with for the rest of my life. And I'm so grateful and humbled to be able to work with all of you. And I'm so excited to spend the rest of this semester and next semester being able to share that time with you. So thank you all.
All right, it's that hour. You can kind of tell in everyone's eyes where you're really ready for the end of this, and the dessert is back there, so you weren't waiting here for nothing. I do need to close by doing some last few thank yous for, and also, can we give a shout out to Jason Fernandez? He had an interview, but he made it. He's here. He's the president of SPEC. He's also a steering member. Really helped us with this event. So I know he didn't get a spotlight on the stage, but he's really great. So we do have some people to thank. T-Change for helping us fund this event. Alcohol and other drugs and program initiatives who helped us register our happy hour. And also we really want to thank Penn Student Government Steering for really helping put together this event. So again, take your programs to Tap House. Thank you for coming. We really appreciate it. If you have any questions, email me at education@penn-nec.org, and please go have dessert. Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Elizabeth. Happy birthday to you.